It's really awesome, and it's really cool to be part of this centennial celebration. Yeah, 100 years, and we've been doing this oral history project collecting stories, and it gives you goosebumps, the stories, because this is such a special place to so many different people. We talk with people who grew up in the valley, people who've been camping here for years, people who this was their first time ever visiting this summer to the park, people who have worked here and currently work here. So it's kind of interesting to see all these different personalities, all these people that this is a special place for all of them. We all are connected because of this place. Wow, this is so amazing to be in a place like this, in a permanent position that's year-round. I really feel blessed, and I still do every day. I love coming to work. There's days where I don't even want to go home because it's just such an amazing place to work. I remember right after I got the position here too, there was a volunteer dinner. This was within a month or two of having gotten the position. And one of the volunteers came up and she said, "I just want to thank you for representing women in this field." And I had never thought of that before, but she said, if you think about it, historically speaking, it's usually men, not just as naturalists, but in the conservation field. And so I started to become more sensitive to that. Like, yeah, you're right. And so it's really empowering for me to think that I can be a role model for little girls out there that, like me, I used to have rocks in my pockets all the time, and I was always picking up cool sticks and looking at bugs, and for other little girls to see that, yeah, there's women in this field, and I can maybe do that someday. It's pretty cool. So this is a male, see the spots on it, and then this one, let's see if it sits.
The park is always a balance between preserving what's here and making it available to people to enjoy. My favorite fishing story is having the kids catch fish. But they changed the trout stream laws in southeast Minnesota probably 10 years ago or so, and they restricted a lot of them to fly fishing only, except that our state parks are open to any kind of fishing. So you can use bait and anything which kids need to catch fish. So I'm really glad that the DNR kept that so they can come here or Forestville and the kids have a place to fish, those who can't handle a fly rod, or like me getting older, you can't handle. So that's a plus. That's what I remember about it. Now, it's been said that people, and that's how we get supporters like our friends group, what they remember from a park is usually an experience, a guided trip, or learning to canoe, or we'd have classes on teaching people how to fish, and the ghost walk up to the cemetery, all of those kind of things. If you ask people, that's what they remember. They're here camping, but you ask them, it'll always be about an event that they had.
This, right where we're standing now, in the South Picnic area, this did serve in the 30s as a civilian conservation corps, so a New Deal program camp. Also, the Works Progress Administration men were involved in this group camp. And then during World War II, those same cabins served as housing for German prisoners of war. So I was working at the Nature Center, and a person from the park office came down and said, Dave, there's a former German prisoner of war here. Do you want to talk to him? I go, yes. And so I got a tape recorder, and I think we were together for about an hour and a half. It was he, his wife, and a daughter, and we just talked about everything. And one of the most impressive things that he said to me was, what a beautiful place to be held prisoner. And the truth of the matter was, he was captured late in the war, at a time when most of the soldiers and German people as a whole knew things weren't going well and they were going to lose. And this soldier, like the other soldiers, knew that their options were to be captured by the Russians, be captured by the Americans, or be killed. And that the best option of the three was to be captured by the Americans. And so this is where 100 plus of them worked for 2 summers, the last year of the war and the first summer after the war. There was a year-round camp down in Algona, Iowa, and they would send out people. And of course, there was a labor shortage. You know, the American men were all off to war. And so these German prisoners, you know, they worked on the farms, they worked in the vegetable packing facility, you know, so whatever was needed, they would do that. And then at the end of the day, they'd be bussed back here. And so to meet this man and to hear his story, and the fact that he wanted to come back. He came back from Germany to visit Whitewater State Park. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I think when I look at the different visitors over the years, you know, when you think of the weddings that happen here, the family reunions that have been going on for generations, the school groups, you know. And so, I mean, I think that tells you something about the resources and about the value of expanding the educational opportunities at this particular state park. It's a place that you really care about, you know, and my wife Kathy's a teacher, and so she's, you know, in her school, you know, she cares about those students and loves bumping into them. And
what was really fun for me as a teacher was that I could bring my students to Whitewater State Park after we had studied the fossil unit, rocks and minerals. So when their spelling word, one of them was sedimentary rock, I could bring them here to Whitewater and we could see sedimentary rock and look for fossils. And so it makes learning real to have a place like Whitewater where you can come with your students and see, you know, what they're actually learning in the classroom. So at the end of the year, I would always do an activity, what were some of your favorite experiences? And Whitewater was always right up there. It was often number one. We did Native American studies, we hiked up Chimney Rock, we slept in the group camp and had many years doing these things so that these stories went from generation to generation. So it was a gift.